The most fraudulent fighters in the UFC, man. I have to say what other people will not say. A lot of these guys, three of them, by the way, are fan favorites, okay? And when it comes to their skill set and if I think they're going to win their next fight, I don't know, man. These three guys are on massive win streaks, and I don't think they're going to win their next fights, all right? There's holes in their games. It could be their performances, it could be, who they fought, as well as their skill set, all right? My UFC 308 predictions hopefully will be out tomorrow. You guys know I do a lot of research. I want to get my predictions right. And I've so far from what I've watched, I got some pretty good picks, I think. But anyways, I'm going to get right into it. So yeah, Diego Lopez is my first fraudulent fighter, man. Look, Diego Lopez has a great skill set, all right? He's got fantastic jiu-jitsu, really, really good jiu-jitsu. He's a massive featherweight as well. He's strong. He hits like a truck. But there are some holes in his game that I've been noticing from the start that no one else has seemed to notice, okay? Look, first of all, I want to talk about, who he has fought, all right? And how much of how many fighters that he has fought favor his, style, right? You got a guy like Movsar Evloev who, in my eyes, he dominated that fight. I mean, I really didn't think, Lopez won the first maybe, but other than that, man, it was very, very clear Evloev 2-3, not even close, okay? But that's still a favorable matchup for Diego Lopez. I know it's crazy, but it is. Movsar Evloev prefers to wrestle. That's what Diego Lopez wants. And on the feet, Movsar Evloev was smaller, and, he's a little bit of a better boxer to me, but that's a good matchup for Diego Lopez. A guy who wants to wrestle so Diego can get him in submissions and attempt at submissions. Pat Sabatini, another guy who is incredible on the ground, but is no striking at all. You know what I mean? So Diego Lopez stuffed the first takedown and knocked Pat Sabatini out. Pat Sabatini's chin, it's like a melted piece of ice, bro. You just touch it, it'll explode. That's Pat Sabatini's chin. His chin is so fucking bad, man. And he got knocked out cold, and I guess it's a good win, but it really favors his style. Gavin Tucker, another grappler with not great striking. His plan is to take you to the ground, and Diego Lopez wrapped him up in a submission. That's a favorable matchup. Brian Ortega, another favorable matchup. Ortega's a guy with kind of slick boxing, decent hands, but he's another jiu-jitsu guy. He wants to take you down, and Diego Lopez hasn't really fought a really good striker. Sadiq Youssef is okay. He's got a nice right overhand, but to me, man, I think if anybody above him beats him, even below him beats him. I would even go as far as saying a guy like Lerone Murphy could beat Diego Lopez. You know what I mean? Diego Lopez's ability to take you down is not that good, okay? His jiu-jitsu is great, but that's off his back. Lerone Murphy's not going to shoot a takedown. Yair Rodriguez, to me, fucks him up, okay? As well as Volk. I think Volk kills him. You know what I mean? And obviously, look, Volk's glass chin could be definitely a problem, because it is a problem, because if he gets tagged with one big shot, it could be over. But I would trust in Volk's elusiveness and striking to fuck Diego. I think he'd beat the hell out of him. Max Holloway, come on, man. Max Holloway would kill him. Ilia Topuria, Lopez would be out bad in that fight. I just don't ever see this guy becoming a champion. And I think his striking is nothing special. All right. His gas tank is bad, and that's because he throws everything into his strikes. All right. He's a big, intimidating guy. He hits really, really hard, but he throws everything into his shots. He's open to counters. And man, oh man, what happens when Diego Lopez cannot get somebody out of there in a 5-round fight? What's going to happen? A guy like Max Holloway, holy shit, we might have to, get a wheelchair in the ambulance extremely ready, because those 4th and 5th rounds for Lopez are going to be hell. Max Holloway's going to pour on the volume. I just don't think this guy is as good as people think. I know he's had a very impressive run, but I think the matchups have been favorable. We haven't really seen a good striker with good takedown defense and, good durability go up against Diego Lopez. I think a really, really technical striker picks him apart, man. I don't think Diego Lopez's footwork is that good. He landed a big, nice counter shot versus Ortega, but Ortega just overswung, overextended, and Lopez capitalized. But when you go to the 2nd and 3rd round with this guy, man, he slows down. The volume does not come fast at all. There's no volume. I think he's got a very, very massive cardio issue. And like I said, man, when you get to those 5th round those 5-round fights, I think he's going to have an extremely hard time beating guys, especially if he can't get him out of there. The fight's over. Second round, I'm thinking anybody beats him. I think Yair Rodriguez would tag him and beat him up, man. Diego Lopez is the first guy I got on here. I think it's a little bit controversial, but I just don't see the hype as much as everyone else does. Next guy I got up is out of the flyweight division by the name of Asu Almabayev, okay? He just fought last weekend and got a win versus Matheus Nicolau, and I was not impressed at all. And I watched his film before, and I wasn't impressed. I would have made a video if that fight would have never happened on this guy because I don't think he's that good, okay? He's RNC'd Ode Osborne, but at this point, man, who hasn't fucking RNC'd Ode Osborne? This dude, could get, rear naked choked by a little kid. You know what I mean? But look, man, his wrestling and jiu-jitsu is very good, okay? And his chain wrestling. But at the flyweight division, man, you got to have everything. You got to have everything, okay? And he doesn't, because on the feet, he's horrible. He's horrible. He's got some flashy little kicks, but that's about it, man. His hands are, they're atrocious. They're atrocious. His boxing sucks, and no wonder. I mean, his boxing's not great. He trains with Shavkat Rakhmonov. They don't, train boxing that well. I might go down to that gym and teach him some head movement because those guys really don't know how to move their head at all. And Asu Almabayev is the same way, man. Against CJ Vergara, getting tagged up. Bro, how do you get hit by CJ Vergara, man? You know what I mean? Last time out, Matheus Nicolau, very unimpressive performance. I mean, it wasn't great. He, scraped a decision out. And, people might have thought he dropped Matheus Nicolau. He didn't. He, pushed him to the side. And Matheus Nicolau's chin is gone anyways, by the way. But to me, man, I don't see this guy winning his next fight. He's not complete, and you have to be complete in the flyweight division. Every single fighter is in the flyweight division is pretty complete. They got good striking, they got good grappling, or good enough. His striking's not good enough, okay? He's, as well as his striking not being great, he's not a big flyweight at all. He's very small. You know what I mean? He's kind of like a Josh Van where they're both really, really small. He's similar to that. He's very small. I feel like a guy like Cody Durden would just throw him around the octagon, honestly. I don't know how Asu Almabayev would beat Cody Durden. If someone can go ahead and inform me how he'd do it, I'd like to know because I don't think it happens personally. Anybody above him just destroys him. A guy like Amir Albazi is way, way bigger than him, as well as having way better striking. This guy's not complete at all, man. He's not on the level that people think he is. I don't think he wins his next fight. A guy like Manel Kape, to me, stuffs the takedowns, and if he fights normal, then he whoops his ass on the feet. But I just don't think this guy is that complete. I think he's got potential. I like his wrestling. I like his cardio. His kicking is okay. I mean, it's cool, but you got to have some hands, and he doesn't. So that Asu Almabayev is definitely going to get fraud checked. He's definitely going to lose his next fight. There's no doubt in my mind that he will, unless some idiot shows up on short notice. So yeah, Asu Almabayev is definitely a fraud. For the final one, man, I have Joaquin Buckley, and it pains me to say this because I really like Joaquin Buckley. I think he's great for the UFC. He's very entertaining. He's funny. He's fun to watch as well. But his skill set is very mediocre, okay? And I don't know anybody that will defend that and say that his skill set is great. I don't know how you could. It's very evident that the guy is not that good. Simple as that. Okay, at 185, it wasn't good. He was a win one, lose one kind of guy. Got knocked out by Chris Curtis, got knocked out by Kevin Holland as well. And, when it comes to his skill set, it's not that great. His wrestling is not even good, honestly. You know what I mean? He's pretty much just got a double leg. That's it. There's no high crotch. There's no single leg. There's no trips. It's just a double leg. All right, and on the feet, man, he's got some pretty good kicks. His boxing is not technical. He's very open to counter shots, but he does do a good job, tucking the chin and keeping his hands up. But he gets hit. You know what I mean? Wonderboy was tagging him. All right. I think Wonderboy, I believe Wonderboy won the first round, and maybe the second you would have given to Buckley, but it was close. Wonderboy was landing a lot. And then the third round comes out with that leaping left hand and knocks him out. But you can, if you go back and watch, the guy's skill set isn't that great. On top of his skill set not being as elite, he has not fought anybody to get here, to get to this point where he is at in the welterweight division. The competition has been very, very low. All right. You got Vicente Luque win. That Vicente Luque, I don't know what the hell was going on with him that night. I guess he just gave up, but it was a win where I felt more like Vicente Luque just gave up instead of Joaquin Buckley dominated him. You know what I mean? It was just Luque kind of giving up. Nursultan Ruziboyev, really a 185er. That was a pretty good, no fun win, but Nursultan Ruziboyev is a 185er, and when it comes to Nursultan Ruziboyev's skill set, it ain't even good, And then Wonder Boy, who's 41 years old, and now he's calling out Kamaru Usman, another old head. So this guy's path to, getting to where he's at is very not impressive. I want to say, and I like how he turned his career around. I really do, but I don't see him winning his next fight. I think Kamaru Usman would beat him, but if you look at anybody above him, man, I don't even think he beat, Jeff Neal would box his fucking head off, right? I think Jeff Neal would kill him. Matter of fact, I think Jeff Neal, I would probably bet a lot on for him to win that fight because I just don't think Buckley is as good as him. Ian Gary, I think, kills him. Maddalena boxes his head off. And as well as when you get to the top of the welterweight division, Muhammad kills him. Shavkat destroys him too. I just don't think that he's that good. And I like him a lot, but bro, his skill set is nothing special at all. And I think by no means, if he fights up in the rankings, he's going to lose. If he fights down in the rankings, I could still see him losing unless he's fighting like a Magny or something like that. I just don't think this guy is as good as people think. And it pains me to say that because I like Buckley a lot. That's going to do it for me. I hope y'all boys enjoyed. And the UFC prediction or 308 predictions will be out tomorrow.